Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is Heart DFS. For those of you that are new, please leave a like and subscribe. Do appreciate your support. I make daily NBA price pick videos as well as daily NBA slate breakdowns on DraftKings. So today we have another NBA slate breakdown, showdown slate between the Heat and the Celtics. Before I get into the breakdown, just want to say, follow me on Twitter, Heart DFS. Put up my extra price pick plays, just talk DFS, put up my core plays for these showdown slates. And yeah, answer any questions you guys have, stuff like that. So definitely make sure to follow me there. And then, yeah, before I get into today's breakdown, I just want to go back to the previous two and kind of just take a look at kind of what happened in the games and kind of how we can attack this third game, which is now back for the Celtics. It's back in Boston, home game for them. So that kind of shifts some things around. But let's go to the first game. Excuse me. Now, the first game, it was a high-scoring game for this series, 118 to 107. The winning score is 309. But the optimal captain, if you break it down to, who's going to be the optimal captain, I'd say 80% of the time, maybe 85%, it's going to be either Tatum or Jimmy. It just depends on which one you want to put in the captain spot. Obviously, Jimmy had a little bit better of the game with the points, the blocks, and the steals. So he was the most optimal. Tatum was, second behind him. And then Brown is probably the third one out of both sides. Obviously Jimmy and Tatum are probably going to be the most optimal on any given night. Brown, could definitely sneak in there. And that's kind of really it as of right now through two games. No one else has really stepped up on either side. Obviously, on the Boston side, I think it's going to be hard for anyone else to kind of sneak into that captain spot, unless a guy like, obviously, Marcus Smart or Al Horford, if they step up in the game. But realistically, it's usually going to be either mostly Tatum or Brown. And then on the Heat side, as we've seen through two games, it's pretty much just Jimmy, and that's it. No one else is going to be able to get to that spot unless they have a fantastic game, and no one's really stepped up. So obviously in this game one, it was Jimmy, Tatum, Brown. Robert had a good game. Gabe Vincent, good value off the bench, and then Pritchard. And then in game two, I talked about how I really like Smart. He's probably going to come out, do a ton. He did. He was in the captain spot. But Jimmy is pretty much everyone versus Jimmy. He has no help right now. So obviously you got to lock in Jimmy. He was there. Tatum once again. Horford snuck in there, and then Grant Williams had a good game, and then Gabe Vincent once again. So going into the game tonight, looking back at these past two, it's like, do you want to go the optimal route of having Jimmy and Tatum in the captain spot? Obviously, that's most likely going to lead you to maybe cashing, but then you're going to have to get different if you want to take down. So as I always say, it's not rocket science. It's just one of those things if you want to play the optimal captain, it's either going to be most nights Tatum or Jimmy. But then if you want to play the most optimal captain but win all the money, you're going to have to get different. And how do you get different? Especially on a two-game slate, you're going to have to go with either some low on value, maybe not play one of the studs on the other side. And then obviously that leads you to kind of failing more often than not. But it's one of those, if it hits, it's going to win you all the money. You're not going to split with, 300 other people. And it just comes down to one of those things what's your risk tolerance? If you want to get risky, I'd suggest, getting contrarian, hopping off a stud, not having the best chance to win. But if you do, you win all the money. Or you can do the optimal route, play the optimal plays, try to get different with one play in your utility spot, and then split with maybe 300 people if you get the top spot. Otherwise, you're just, cashing, min cash, maybe 2 times at most. So it's just the two routes you want to go. I like going the risky route, and I think I'm going to go that route again today. But for the slate today, sorry, lots of rambling. It's one of those things, Tatum, Butler. You're going to probably have to have both of them in your lineup. Maybe even one of them in your captain spot. Once again, I like getting risky, so I do like going down to the mid-range guys, the second-tier guys. Al Horford, I do think he's a solid option. As we've seen in the past 4 games, he's not too involved in the offense anymore. For some reason, he kind of just dropped off. But I like him for the minutes. The game blew out. He saw 33 minutes still. they're comfortable with running Al Horford out there for most of the game. As you can see at the end of the Milwaukee series, 39, 42, 41, 38, 40. So I do think Big Al is going to see 35 plus minutes here. Obviously not too involved in offense, but he can hit threes, he can get you rebounds, he can score down low, and his peripheral stats are usually higher than this. He's been really solid with the assists, 3 or more, pretty much every game of the playoffs. But it's the rebounds. He usually gets 8 plus, put on the 3 assists. He's a guy that can get you blocks and steals. And if he's hitting the shots for some reason, or if they're involving him more in the offense, he could definitely sneak into the mid-30s, even close to 40s fantasy points. And that would most likely get him in the top captain spot, just because if he's doing well, it's probably going to take some usage away from other guys. But I like him a good amount. Bam is a sneaky one for today. I say sneaky just because he's been playing horrendous. Something has to be wrong, because Bam was a guy who was averaging like 18, 10, and 3 and almost a block per game, almost 40 fantasy points per game in the regular season, and now he's barely averaging 20. Something's off, something's wrong, but it's one of those things. Bam can have a great game. He can get you a double-double. He can score the ball. He can rebound the ball. It just comes down to, is Miami going to figure out their offense? I think they will. Eric Spoelstra is a good coach. They're a good team. I think they're going to figure it out today. They're going to do something. They're going to switch something up. I mean, going through Jimmy is great. It's won them some games, but going against the Celtics, only having Jimmy be your leading scorer and your scorer pretty much the whole game is not going to win you the game, as we saw last game. They struggled and they got blown out. Boston is just nailing every 3, and Jimmy coming down is, not going to win you the game, especially if he has to go out for a few minutes. They're just going to get smoked. So these Miami guys, Bam and Tyler Hero, are going to have to step up if they want to, win this series. So I like taking that shot on Bam. He'll probably be super low owned, especially in the captain spot. Obviously, very, very risky, but if you want to go there, you can. I don't mind it. It's probably the riskiest captain spot for today is Bam. Marcus Smart going to be super popular for obvious reasons. Last game played 40 minutes. Do expect the same today. But it's the 8 of 22. He shot the ball 22 times. That is not normally Marcus Smart. But he wanted to come out. He wanted to win the game, and he got it more aggressive than usual. Shot 12 threes. I do expect him to come back down shooting the ball, maybe closer to the mid-teens range, like 15 or so, maybe like 7, 8 threes. But he's a guy who can stuff the stat sheet, as you can see. 9 rebounds, 12 assists, 3 steals, a block, 24 points. So Marcus Smart's another guy you can throw in there. He's kind of, all over the board when it comes to his fantasy point production. There's games where he could go very quiet. There's games where he can go off like last game. That's kind of what you want in your captain spot. I don't mind running it back with him today. I just don't think he's going to see the same production as he did in the last game. I do think Jaylen Brown and Tatum are going to kind of come back to their normal production. So I don't, mind going to Jaylen Brown in the captain spot. It's just he's very limited at times. Like, he'll come out, have a fantastic quarter, maybe 2 quarters, and then he falls off. And so that's why I'm a little bit scared of putting him in the captain spot, just because he doesn't have sustained ability. Like, he could, but there's times where he just goes quiet just because the offense runs through Tatum. So obviously you're going to want at least one of them. I'd prefer Tatum in your spot, in the utility spot, if not the captain spot. Same thing with Jimmy. I think it's going to be really hard to get away from Jimmy today in the utility spot unless you think guys like Bam and Hero are going to step up. If you think they're going to step up, I would suggest, maybe fading Butler. It's very, scary to do, especially with how well he's been doing this playoffs. But let's say Bam and Hero step up. Jimmy's not going to have to do as much. He's not going to get to as many fantasy points. So I think you could definitely fade him if you want to get that risky route. Who else can we talk about? Robert Williams. Just kind of like an okay secondary play. Al Horford being back doesn't affect Robert too much. Al's kind of floating around on the outside, so it's not like it affects him. Robert Williams in the pick and roll or rebounding down low. It's just more Robert Williams kind of floats in between. I'd say you get probably 25 minutes. Obviously, not too involved on the offensive side unless he's getting some lobs or some offensive rebounds, but he'll get you those rebounds, blocks, maybe a steal or 2. Excuse me. He can also get you an assist or two as well. So just more of like a secondary play. You know, he does, if he's having a good game defensively, he can get you, 30 plus fantasy points. So don't mind him as a utility spot today. Strus, going to play the minutes. It just comes down if he's hitting the shots. It looked like he was going to the last game, and then they kind of fell apart. So I don't mind getting to Strus as a mid-range guy as well. Tyler Hero, kind of disappeared these playoffs. Sixth man of the year, has done nothing. I'm going to be one of those guys who's going to keep buying back on these bad games from these guys like Bam and Tyler, because there's going to be one of these games where they both do well. Maybe not. Maybe the Celtics are their kryptonite. They just can't do well. But I really like Tyler Hero today, at least in the utility spot, if not the captain spot. He's a guy that can get you 35 plus fantasy points. Right there, 18-8-3, 25-7-1, 16-1-4. Before that, 24-7-4. So, Tyler Hero, if he's having a really good shooting game, he can get you 30 plus points. But even with not scoring 30 points, he can still get you rebounds, assists. Obviously, it's a very risky captain spot play, but I do suggest at least put him in the utility for today. I do expect a bounce back spot. Kyle Lowry is back as well, so that does mean the ball is going to be out of Jimmy's hands a little bit more. It does really help their team just with his leadership. So I don't mind getting to Kyle Lowry. I don't think there will be a minutes limit, but there is that question mark, is maybe he lands on his leg wrong and he re-injures his hamstring injury. So yeah, I like taking a shot on Kyle Lowry today. Having him back, I think it really changes kind of the dynamic of the team. He's the leading point guard. Ball's in his hands more. It should open up the court a little bit more rather than everyone kind of just focusing on Jimmy. So I do like Kyle Lowry in the utility spot as well. Derek White should play today. Should probably play, I'd say maybe 25 minutes around there off the bench. Now that Marcus Smart's back, he's not going to see 30 plus minutes unless he's shooting the ball really well off the bench, or Marcus Smart gets in foul trouble, something like that. But I do think you can kind of expect about 25-ish minutes from Derek White. A decent option off the bench, 6K, but there's those games where he doesn't get involved too much, or he can go 1 of 10 from shooting. So I think I'm not going to play him today, but I don't mind him. Grant Williams looks okay, 5,600. Did a lot better last game. And yeah, I mean, I kind of caught it. I said they're probably going to feed him more. He only shot 2 threes, but he made both of them. I was a little bit more involved offensively. So I don't mind going back to him at 5,600. He's probably going to play 30 plus minutes. It kind of comes down if he's hitting his 3. If he is, that's going to really help you out. He's not too involved peripheral stat wise. He can get you a couple rebounds, maybe a steal or a block, but it just comes down to if he's scoring his points, and if he's not, then he's going to screw you. Victor Oladipo, 5,400. He's probably going to play 15 plus minutes, whether it's a blowout or not. It just comes down if he's hitting the shots. I think he was like 0 of 5 throughout most of the game last game, and then kind of scored all his points in garbage time. But yeah, I don't mind going to him. It's just, if he can hit his shots, he's going to get extended probably 25 plus minutes. If not, he'll probably be floating between 20 and 25 minutes and not really do much. So he's just more of like a dart throw today. Pritchard, I don't think he had to go there now with Derek White back. Pritchard's done well. I just think he kind of comes down to around 15-ish minutes, maybe 20. Not enough to play him. PJ Tucker, questionable. He will warm up and see if he can play. If he's out, it doesn't really bump anyone up. We'd have to see what they do with the starting lineup. I don't really think it bumps anyone up into a certain spot, but if he plays, he looks okay. Hasn't done much this series. I think it's kind of a hard spot for him to do on this series. Gabe Vincent, kind of out of play for me. If Kyle Lowry plays, even if he's on a minutes limit, I don't think I'd get to Gabe Vincent. He's going to be like the 6th option. Tice getting about, only saw 6 minutes. Maybe he'll see 10 this game. Just don't think he to do it. And that's about it. So if Miami, they'll probably start Jimmy, Bam, Strus, Lowry. If Tucker's out, maybe they'll go. It'll be interesting to see who they throw in the starting lineup if PJ's out. Maybe a guy like Martin, maybe Caleb Martin. We'll see, 15-ish minutes, maybe 20 to help. He's a decent defender. They're going to need someone off the bench to defend a guy like Brown or Tatum. So maybe, we'll have to wait on that news, but maybe Caleb Martin slides into that starting spot. So I don't mind getting to him. Maybe it's Oladipo. We'll have to see. If it's Oladipo, whoever starts in that starting spot, I don't mind taking a shot on them as like a utility play as value. But yeah, that pretty much does it today. It just comes down to, if you want to go the optimal route and you want to win all the money, you're going to have to get different, in at least I'd say 2 spots, especially on these 1-game slates. If you're looking to, get riskier, I'd say definitely go to guys like Bam. Marcus Smart will probably be popular in the captain spot today just because of the last game, the box score watchers. But, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, you can get risky and take a shot on a guy like Hero or Bam. But yeah, that's kind of the 2 routes you have to go. Either try to go optimal and then try not to split it with 400 people, or go risky and then hope your guys hit, because then you'll be winning a good amount of money. That's kind of the two routes to go. I always like going the risky route. Obviously, it's not the most optimal, but one of the days it's going to hit, and then I'm going to win a good amount of money. So that's the route I like going. But let's build a little lineup here for you guys. We'll build 2. Let's start off with. Let's just say. I'll just go Al. I'm not sure if I'm going to, go with that tonight, but let's just start off with Al. I like getting to Kyle Lowry. I do expect, if there's no minutes limit, he's going to see, 30 plus minutes. Sometimes he's not involved shooting the ball offensively, but if he is, that's kind of just a cherry on the top. Otherwise, he's going to get you the rebounds. He's going to get you some assists, and some steals. So I like Kyle Lowry at 6,200. I think he's in the best price point in this like 5 to 6K range. Who else? I think you're gonna have to get to either Tatum or Butler, or Tatum or Brown on the Celtics side. I prefer Tatum, and then I think I might go with Bam and get risky, fade Jimmy, which is always scary just because of how well he's done this playoffs. But offensively, I think they're gonna have to switch it up. Spoelstra is going to be like, guys, like, we got destroyed. We can't just go through Jimmy every single play. Obviously, he's great. I love Jimmy, but it's not going to win them the game, as we saw last game. So I like the secondary guys on the other stars on the Miami side to step up. So whether that be Kyle and Bam or Kyle and Hero off the bench, I really like that. So yeah, I think I guess we can complete it. 6,400 left over. So we got Al, Lowry, Tatum, Bam. Let's see. I mean, could we throw in a guy like Jimmy? 2,100 left over. No. You can do Marcus Smart, leaves you 5,300 left over. You can get to a guy like I guess PJ Tucker. See, like with this, it's like Pritchard's minutes are not guaranteed now that their team's fully healthy. Tucker is questionable. Even if he does play, he could get you 10 fantasy points. Gabe Vincent, now that Kyle Lowry's back, probably going to see 15 to 20 minutes at most, unless they throw him in the starting lineup alongside Kyle Lowry, which is a little too small, I think, to go against the Celtics. Tice just not playing enough minutes. And that's where it comes down to, like, maybe you take a shot on a guy like Dedmon. Probably see around 13 minutes, maybe 15 if Bam's in foul trouble. Maybe it allows you to get to Caleb Martin if they slot him into the starting lineup wherever he is. So that's why, even with 5,300 left over, it's kind of hard to, get someone good in there or get unique unless you go to those really cheap guys. So let's say we take out Smart. Let's just say we go let's just go like Tyler Hero. And then you get 6,500 left over. You can take a shot on the guy like Williams, White, and you still have 900 left over. That should get you out of the less duped lineup range. I'd say about 800 plus salary remaining or more kind of gets you out of the most duped lineup. So maybe instead of splitting it with like 100, 200, 300 people, you'll be splitting it with like 60 or 70. So I don't mind kind of going this route. Yeah, I'd say this is kind of the route I'm going for today. Got to put one of those secondary guys in the captain spot and then kind of go with that mid-range build and then hope to get a little bit different on at least one or two utility spots. So if this video made sense at all, please leave a like, subscribe. Do appreciate your guys' support. I'm just trying to talk through the different scenarios of these one-game slates. It's very hard, especially when you have two offenses where it's everything pretty much runs through Tatum, and then Brown's like the secondary guy, and then obviously you can have Smart. Once every 3-4 games he'll step up, have a huge game, but otherwise it's Brown and Tatum. And then on the Miami Heat side, as we've seen the whole playoffs, it's pretty much just Jimmy. So taking on the shots on the secondary guys hasn't worked out yet, but I think they're going to have to switch it up. So it's obviously very scary hitting Jimmy, but I think you're going to have to, take advantage of the last game, how he's pretty much been the whole team, the whole playoffs, how they got blown out, and how I think they're going to change their offense now that they're finally a complete team. Maybe if PJ Tucker is out, it kind of hurts them a tad defensively, but on the offensive end, they should be complete. And they should be able to, I think, switch up their game plan and have those guys like Tyler Hero and Bam step up. So, just talking through that stuff. Hopefully you guys have taken something from this and learned something and maybe applied it to your lineup for tonight. That's kind of the main goal. It's just, hopefully some of you, get something from this and they are able to help your lineup out. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later today for my prize pick video. Peace.